woman after marriage becomes a wife. For 9 long months she carries a new life. Islam legislates equality, my sisters and brothers. Don't forget paradise lies at the feet of your mother.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode in our new series, The Art of Divorce. And we're still talking to Sheikh Haytham al-Haddad from the UK. He's a member of the Islamic Sharia Council of the UK and also the director of the Muslim Research and Development Foundation. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
And it's good to have you back here.
Jazakallah khair, brother Fuad.
Okay, in the last episode we mentioned about why we chosen the topic and some of the effects of divorce. But still it's bothering me, if you wouldn't mind further explaining it. Why is it we're not promoting to avoid divorce rather than minimizing it?
Yeah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. In fact, as we said, once we know the right process of divorce, or sometimes the art of divorce, or the skills of divorce, from one side we are trying to avoid it, but from the other side we are trying to minimize it.
Okay, where's the priority?
Yeah, avoiding it, but if it is not possible, then minimizing it. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
A very common mistake that many people, many Muslims have in so many Muslim countries, that they believe that in order to divorce his wife, he has to mention divorce 3 times.
Okay.
This is a very big mistake. Now, if you know the right process, the right procedure of divorce, and you know the sunnah way of divorcing, then what will happen? You will divorce her the first time, then you will wait for the iddah period, as we will explain in more details, and then most likely the husband and wife will reconcile. And then they can live together. They had another chance, and they had the final chance.
Yes.
But because of the ignorance in terms of how to divorce, many Muslims, they say divorce, 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 or you are divorced 3 times. Now, traditionally, in most of the madhahib and in most Muslim countries, 3 divorces in one sitting is the end of the life marriage.
Yes.
Now, in some Muslim countries, they are considering the other opinion, which is 3 divorces in one sitting is just 1 divorce. Now, this opinion is spreading more, in particular when some muftis are taking into consideration the fact that many people, when they divorce 3 times in one sitting, they do it out of ignorance. They don't want to just end the marriage whatsoever, but they believe they have this wrong perception that they have to mention it 3 times. And in the Islamic Sharia Council, when people come to us, we say to them, why did you divorce her 3 times in one go? He said, well, that is how divorce is.
Yes.
And we say, no. And that's why you need to know how to divorce your wife. This is one thing. And that's why we say one of the skills is to follow the Islamic Sunnah way of to divorce your wife. One of them is, brothers and sisters, don't divorce 3 times. Divorce once.
Yes, okay.
What do we mean by divorcing once? Mention the word 1 time. If you have to do it, then do it 1. Some people, wallahi, I know many cases. I remember one case, the wife is a revert case. The wife is a revert sister. And her husband from totally a different culture.
Okay. And
they had so many disputes and violence, domestic violence was involved.
Yes.
Then the brothers were suggesting that this is seeking for khul, etc. I said, again, and this is one of the skills, we will mention it anyway, that the spouses, they should not involve other people except with a mutual agreement.
Okay.
But the husband should not go to other people without a mutual agreement with his wife, okay, come into my marriage. And the wife, okay, come into my marriage, because now they will have influence from different people.
Yes, that's true.
Anyway, what happened is one time those couples, they decided to end their marriage. And the husband came in a very angry way and he said, I want to divorce my wife now. In front of you, Sheikh, I want to divorce my wife. I had enough of her, etc. Now, see, from my experience, that it might be better for this lady to be divorced from her husband.
Yes.
But I did not say to him, yes, divorce her 3 times. I say, no, follow the sunnah. Because following the sunnah is not for the man, it is for the qadi, for the judge, for the imam,
yes,
to follow the sunnah in divorcing. That is also part of the skill. So I said, no, just one. Right. He said, no, I want to write divorce, divorce, divorce. I want to finish. It is impossible for me to go back to her. I will never go back to her. I said, no one knows. Sharia told us this, we have to follow Sharia. And he divorced her 1 time. Believe me, after 3 weeks, not after 3 months, after 3 weeks, they reconciled and they start to live together. So this is one of the skills. Let me give you another example.
Okay.
Many people have the perception that once the husband divorces his wife, the iddah period is there, but he cannot reconcile except with her permission. And in many cases, the husband realizes the ill effects of divorce quicker than the wife. This is the nature of men versus the nature of women.
Yes.
So he would like to reconcile, and that's why Sharia gave the right to reconcile, to make ruju' to the husband. The Sharia gave this right to the husband, not to the wife. And without even, this is the main point, without even the consent, the permission of the wife. So if the husband says to his wife, I'm taking you back, or he told her wali, I am taking your daughter or your sister back, my ex or my wife, I'm taking her back. Or he told 2 witnesses, that is more than enough, no need for her consent. Now many people don't understand this. They
because
think
the very top of it seems that the woman is being done injustice here.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't
or
seem
they
just
believe,
at all. Yani.
yeah, or they believe that the marriage took place after the consent of both of them. The ruju', okay, reconciliation, has to take place similarly.
Yes.
Means with the consent or after the consent of both of them.
Yes.
And in many cases, the husband doesn't do that because his wife is reluctant to do this, and then he leaves her. Or sometimes he sends her home thinking that maybe I will discuss with her or she will call me. And the iddah period comes to an end, which is almost 3 months. And in some cases, the iddah period is to give birth. And then the iddah period is over. And the husband comes and says, I want now to reconcile. Okay, fine. When did you divorce your wife? 6 months. I said, Yahi, 6 months. And you didn't reconcile. He said, no. I said, you could have reconciled. He said, I never knew. Now, he said, I want my wife back. No, you have to marry her again. What is the problem here? Normally, the father, he said, no, I will never give you your wife back. I will never allow this marriage. And this is, subhanallah, similar to what happened to Fatima bint Qais and her husband. And then Allah Jalla wa Ala revealed the ayah in the Quran, فَلَا تَعْضَلُوهُنَّ أَن يَنْكِحْنَ أَزْوَاجَهُنَّ إِذَا تَرَاضَوْا بَيْنَهُمْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. And we will mention this story,
Yes,
inshallah,
yeah,
in details. But the point here is, the father will say, no, I will not allow this marriage to take place. Then the wife has to apply maybe for a changing wali or to convince her father. Or what will happen normally is there will be a dispute now between the husband and the father, and the husband believes that the father is stopping me from taking my wife back, and he will have more hatred towards the father.
Yes.
And sometimes he might become abusive towards the father. When the daughter, the wife, sees that her husband or her ex-husband became abusive to her father, she will say, no, I cannot go back to you.
Okay, I just want to take...
So this means that there is no future for them to reconcile. This could have been solved if the husband knows that, well, during the iddah period, I can reconcile and I can take her back. that could have been avoided.
Yeah, it's very sad that we Muslims don't really read into our religion too much, especially in activities that we take part in. We don't really understand it fully, but we just act because of seeing the parents or forefathers doing that. I want to take you back a bit before we actually go into the procedures of divorce. How do you evaluate, and working in this field, part of the Sharia Council, how do you evaluate that two persons can't get along together? When do you give the ruling of that it's better to have a divorce?
That is very rare, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
That is very rare. And subhanallah, now the West, they say, how can, the Western lifestyle, the Western people, they say, how can I get married to a wife that I don't know her? I need to know her beforehand.
Yes.
And unfortunately, many Muslims, as we say, are following that style. And see, this is even some psychiatrists explain that this is even wrong. Why? Because you are not marrying her based on what will be based on the concept of marriage, rather than the concept of this wife, I liked her. Which means we have to understand this point, and this is one of the skills, please. Mm-hmm. If the people are busy in eating or drinking while listening to this, please, they have to focus on this point. Because normally people ask this question: how can I get married to a wife that I don't know her properly? And we always say that whatever you know, whatever time you spend with a wife, you wouldn't know her as a wife.
Interesting.
Okay? You wouldn't know her as a wife, because how long you spend with her before getting married, even the non-Muslims, aside from taking her as a girlfriend, boyfriend, and this kind of this relationship where they sleep together and then they decide to get married. No, we are talking about Muslims who promote that kind of, they say, free or innocent relationship between marriage. How much will you know your wife? Will you sleep with her? No. Will you see your wife or the wife? Will you see your husband when he wakes up? And let me be open here as we are discussing this.
I just want to cut you here. We'll keep the audience in an intense mood after the break, inshallah.
Yes.
We'll take a break here. And stay tuned for more on the art of divorce.
Don't forget paradise lies at the feet of your mother.
Reviewing the second rule of al-mim as-sakina. That is the letter mim. So if the first mim is non-vowel or sakina, followed by a voweled mim, so I will merge the first in the letter and I will pronounce them as one. وَآمَنَهُمْ مِنْ. And we spoke abundantly on the virtues of seeking refuge with Allah from the outcast Satan. Especially for the first reciter, he's got to recite it out loud.
وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْبُرُوجِ.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
فإذا جاءت الصاخة.
وَإِذَا النُّفُوسُ زُوِّجَتْ.
Make sure it's Dhamma. وَإِذَا النُّفُوسُ. Thank you for joining us.
Forget paradise lies at the feet of your mothers.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. You're watching The Art of Divorce, and we're still talking to Sheikh Haytham Al-Haddad. Just before the break, and I think the viewers are still waiting for the answer, a person spending time with a woman would not really understand her and would not aid in helping that marriage?
Yes. Let me give you the example that I was about to mention before the break. How long a man spends with a wife in order to know her? See, as we said, Muslims, he will not sleep with her. He will not come closer to her when all of times. And in some cases, the husbands are complaining about his wife that when she wakes up, she has a very bad breath. And he said, I didn't know this before marriage. And we say, you will never knew this. You will never know this. How can you know a woman whether she has a bad breath after sleeping? And all of us have this, okay? But in certain circumstances, a woman or a husband might have this problem, this medical problem. How you would know about this? This is one thing. And the other thing is, normally when people meet before marriage, they try to what?
Pretend.
To show the best of them. And then when they get married, you were not like this before marriage. And in many cases, the sisters are complaining that this husband, I knew him before marriage, and he was much gentle, soft, caring man. And after marriage, all of this disappeared. He used to buy gifts, he used to take me, he used to maybe say a few nice, soft words, romantic words. But now, it is totally different. And that's why the marriage, and this is one of the skills that we need to learn. I am getting married because of the concept of marriage, not because of this particular lady. I know that might be a reason that you want to get married to this particular lady, but that should not overcome the main intention, which is what? To get married because of marriage itself. Because of iffah, chastity, because of producing children. These are the two main aims. And once the person has these two aims as the main aims for marriage with this lady, then most likely the marriage will be successful. And from experience as well, from many cases that came to the Islamic Sharia Council, many of those young couples who get married after love or after a period of time, they end up in a very quick divorce. Because the expectations that everyone had before marriage all collapsed after marriage. So once we know the right procedure of divorce and the right and the purpose of marriage and the purpose of divorce, we will be able to do divorce properly, so it will minimize the consequences or the possibility of divorce. I gave you the example of people leaving the iddah period without reconciliation, and after reconciliation and after the iddah period, it will be difficult for them to get married to their ex-wives because of maybe the social pressure from the father or from the brother.
This is an interesting point that you've mentioned, that if one really understands the concept before marriage, it's really a minimizing concept towards a divorce. Okay, I just want to bring you back again to what we're talking about, divorce. And from your experience in the UK, in Western countries, what are some of the main causes of divorce? And when do you give the ruling that it's better for the couple to be separated? Because someone looking at the program right now, Sheikh, would agree that the Sheikh is speaking, it's just divorce. Divorce is not really that big thing. You understand what I'm saying?
No, you mean that they might take the impression that we are encouraging divorce.
Yes.
No, we are not encouraging divorce. That has to be clear. We are encouraging people to study and to know the right process of divorce. And as I said, because if you don't know the right process of divorce, then what will happen? You might divorce her 3 times, and that might cause problems, as we have explained. You might divorce her, but you don't know how can you take her back because you haven't studied.
Okay, let me put it another way as well. Why is it that we have the word divorce in Islam rather than not making it work? How much effort should one exert towards making the marriage work, then turning to divorce? How much importance we put towards that working together?
The original principle is that both spouses have to put an effort to make the marriage working. But in some circumstances, as we have explained, for medical reasons, for social reasons, for cultural reasons, for other reasons, maybe divorce can be the solution. And again, why do we need to understand the divorce process? Because I highlighted on a point which we said that we will explain more about it, that divorce is not the end of the life. And please, brothers and sisters, don't think that divorce is the end of your life. And this is one of the skills of divorce. This is part of the art of divorce. Don't think that the woman I divorced, I start to hate her, she becomes my enemy. And please, sister, if you've been divorced by your husband, or you are about to go through this, put in your mind that he will not become my enemy. In one of the very common mistakes that many people are having, and that's why they don't reconcile, that both spouses think the other side is his what? His enemy.
SubhanAllah.
And let me tell you this. See, if we know the right process, that there is one chance, the second chance, and the third chance. Now, if the husband decided to divorce his wife, the first chance, now if he has this idea that she will not become my enemy, she is still my sister in Islam, and she will have the same idea that he is still my brother in Islam, he is not my enemy, this will help them to reconcile after the first divorce.
SubhanAllah.
But if he divorced her in a very bad term, and he started to believe that she is my enemy, I hate her, and I will do my best in order to cause the biggest harm for her, and she does the same thing, then do you think that they will reconcile easily?
Of course not.
See, this is one of the skills. See, and if we have this, so maybe the divorce takes place, but there is a bigger chance for them to live in harmony again, or to reconcile.
Okay. Let me ask this as well, because I'm sure the viewers, many thoughts are going out, because this is a very new topic for television, that we're talking about the art of divorce. The person who divorces, the spouse who divorces, is that spouse a sinner?
It depends on the situation. In some cases, yes, he is a sinner if he wants to cause harm for the woman. In some other cases, as we said in the hadith, that the three people, their dua will not be accepted. One of them is the person who has a wife with very bad character and he doesn't divorce her. In that case, if he keeps her, he might be a sinner. So it depends on the case. But my point, maybe you have asked this question back to the point that we said that divorce, brothers and sisters, is not the end of life. Believe me, okay? And please, let us put that in mind. We suffer from this. And wallahi, the children suffer from this. We have so many cases where the husband got married to his cousin. Yeah? The first cousin. And because of divorce was not done according to Islam, and everyone was looking at the other side as the enemy, the two families who are what? Relatives, they became enemies. And the husband, I had the recent case that I had, the husband, he never spoke to his auntie, because she's the mother of his ex-wife for maybe 3-4 years. His auntie doesn't want to speak to him after he divorced her daughter. Now, had we know that the divorce is a solution for some problems, and had we know that or had we applied or implement the correct procedure of divorce, then the husband might talk to his wife, see, we cannot continue in our relationship. I love you as my sister, and you should appreciate this. Maybe we have children, let us help each other to raise our children, although we cannot live under one roof. He can talk to her mother, who is her auntie, and tell her it is not the end of life, I respect her, I will honor her, etc. Then, at least, the Salat al-Rahim, the right of kinship, will be maintained even after divorce. Not only this, the children. What are they going to say about mom and dad? If the children will go to mom and she says to him, your father is the most evil person in the world. Because now she feels that he's what? Her ex-husband is what? Her enemy.
Her enemy, yes.
So will she say good thing about her ex-husband? No. And the husband, he will say to his children the same thing. Your mother was an evil. I have cases, wallahi. I have cases where the husband is telling his children that your mom used to sleep with other men. And that's why I divorced her.
SubhanAllah.
And then the children, of course, some of them are innocent. They will go back to the mother and will say, Mom, is that true? And she said, what? Your dad is accusing me of this? Don't you know that his mother used to do this with other men? Don't you do that he was bringing other women to sleep in my home? And then it will become really a big problem. Had we know that divorce is not the end of this life, and we have maybe we decided that we cannot live together as a husband and wife, then okay, still we must protect the honor of each other, and most importantly the honor of our children. And let us remember that they are our responsibility. كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته, as the Prophet ﷺ said. Every one of you is like a shepherd, and every one of you is going to be held accountable at the day of resurrection about his flock. So that is also among the skills that we need to know about divorce.
Sheikh Haytham al-Haddad, every time we complete an episode, I've learned so much from you, and I'm sure the viewers are of the same opinion that it's very technical and it's very clear the way Islam not promotes divorce, but promotes the protection of both parties. Jazakallah.
Through the correct process of divorce.
Jazakallah khair. That's Sheikh Haytham al-Haddad there from the UK, and continue to watch us as we continue in the series, The Art of Divorce. I leave you with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Woman's status in Islam, we should never neglect. They are favored and deserve their respect. They can pray at the mosque or even at home. They may marry or divorce, it's a choice of their own. A woman after marriage becomes a wife. For 9 long months she carries a new life. Islam legislates equality, my sisters and brothers. Don't forget paradise lies at the feet of your mothers. Righteous women can lead a happily married life. The best men are those who are best to their wives.